Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome to the second video of Wednesday. This is going to be about Battlegrounds Season 14. Yes, this is probably, if I've made it in time, this video will go out when the Battlegrounds season launches, or just before. I'm hoping just before, but I've been working flat out on this spreadsheet throughout today, so go and check out the link in the description for what we're going to go over. So essentially we're just kind of covering some stuff. Look, the season meta is the following. It is all about Red Scare. Every time a hashtag offensive dot champion applies a damaging effect with a duration, they gain a 15% vicious buff lasting 20 seconds. And the vicious also enhances damaging passives and burst effects. So essentially, you get an offensive dot champion, does a debuff, that is damaging, equals vicious. Really handy because then it goes into part 2, which is the attacker gains no power from landing or receiving attacks. Instead, they are granted 12% of a power bar per second while the defender is suffering from a damaging effect. Those seem to be the main things. I think that passive based dot champions are going to be some of the best ones. You know, we've got a firm list of champions that do exactly that and can be very, very effective. If you want a quick example, go into your game like I am right now, go to your sort, then go down to tags. We're going to filter and then go down to tags, add tags, and go down to combat style, and then we go offensive damage over time. There we go. Click that, click confirm. Hey presto, look, there's a load of champions there that could be in your roster. Might not be just in mine. There's also some champions that are not in my roster that really would have liked for this one. That can be very, very effective. So let's have a look at some of these options in kind of like a more kind of stringent detail. And of course, it's always best to go over to something you've created. So what I've done for my my spreadsheet is kind of earmarked some champions in offense and defense that could be very effective. So from a defense perspective, I've not done it as a fancy infographic. It's just because time, really. You know, I had to get this done as soon as possible. I think next time I'll try and reschedule this in a way that's going to like be more infographic-y. But again, time, guys. This should have been out earlier, but there's been so many other things going on. So defensive-wise, you want champions that purify, shrug off. Oh, we do have a little infographic. I forgot that. Actually, we do. Shout out to MCC Avengers. So I've used MCC Avengers little kind of spreadsheet snippet here for others, champions that are immune. They're not going to be the greatest of options. It's going to be largely the purify or duration, I think it is, based options, but this mainly purify options here that are going to be relatively good. When other champions come in, like King Groot, for example, will kind of like shrug off some damaging debuffs, Crossbones as well. But I've kind of labelled them as being iffy type options, because at the end of the day, if you put them on defense, it's cleanse champions that are going to be better for this, like, well, Baron Zemo. Baron Zemo, I think, is going to be one of the best ones. Mole Man is going to be a pretty good defensive-based option. Elsa Bloodstone-ish, but again, it's just down to the champions you're choosing to use against her. And of course, that meta of putting Elsa Bloodstone on with Suicide Masteries, of course, is going to be annoying as a defensive-based option. Hitmonkey as well could be another one of those options. Kingpin is a definite. Tenacity-based champions like Vision Arcus and Agent Venom. But again, like, this is going to be having champions that are kind of high up there with that. And I'm not quite sure if these are going to be the greatest option in defense. I just think they'll be slightly frustrating. This is where, like, you know, your main options, which I've just, you know, labeled off some kind of like options there. I think Kindred is going to be an annoying defender. I think Korg will be annoying as always. But it is going to be some of these here, minus the iffy ones. And also, I think it's going to be some of the non-specific defense-based options. What I've done is to the spreadsheet is I've added in Cam MCOC. You should know Cam. Puts together some amazing stuff, especially on Twitter, more prominent on Twitter. I've put his tier list of kind of like really relevant champions for defense and attack, or kind of very kind of like the dual threat section. I think is some of the best. You know, Mojo, really, really annoying defender. Weapon X, very, very annoying defender. So yeah, go and check that in the spreadsheet. But when it comes to further victory track, getting off the You know, and it's going to be, again, the other options, isn't it? The other same options. Domino's an annoying defender. Photon's an annoying defender. King Groot. Nick Fury is an annoying defender. What, Red Skull as well? The new changes, the buff to the champions. Ant-Man, Future, Gore. I think it's just going to be down to annoying champions. Yes, you get all the kind of the great stuff with this. Of the kind of the node, because of course the node does have the following. It has power shield. I think if you're looking to get off victory track, I think you might have a fun time, providing you got some of the champions that we're going to talk about in attack. But that's just the thing, isn't it? Choosing some really decent attacking options that are able to get those dot effects in are going to be your go-to. I personally feel that Penny Parker is actually going to be a really annoying champion. I think more so because unless you've got a champion that's able to do a lot of dot-based damage and is able to deal with the power control elements that Penny Parker has, it's just a case of like, well, if you're struggling to get any power from the champion, it kind of makes it's quite annoying. So that could be an option if you're using generic type champions or kind of like uncountered non-counter champions, counters that to kind of Penny Parker without kind of going into that extra layer of detail, you know, would be your Venom Pools and Dr. Doom's off the top of my head. Any power control immune champion, that kind of like that, any non-receptive to that. So anyway, we're going to move on to attacking options. Now, first of all, ones that play into the meta will be the ones that we just mentioned. I think some of the best ones are going to be the likes of let's get the red circle. I want to use the red circle. Will be your Wiccans, will be your Shuris, will be your Human Torches. And of course, there'll be others. I do think that Iceman may be a good option, but again, an iffy one. It depends what champion you're going up against, and whether or not it's going to be a case that the enemy's going to shrug it, because again, that's the problem. Champions that shrug, as I said, Baron Zemo is going to be annoying. Champions that shrug, King Groot, they're going to be annoying. Of course, you've got the regular champions that do debuff effects. You've got your Scorpion. You got Immortal Abomination. You've got of course Archangel, Werewolf by Night. You've got Nick Fury. You got Gore. You got Apocalypse. You got Magneto. Magneto, I think, might be a bit of an iffy one because it really will require you to get up to an SP3. Which I think could be a problem for this. It's more of a case of, yeah, I guess it's more of a. I don't know if actually that's going to be a good option, because you'd have to get up to an SP3, and if you can't get up to an SP3 to do a, unless you can go for an SP, no, I think that's maybe an iffy one. So maybe that one has to go from the list. Tiger, I think it's Ruptures, so that kind of like applies, and that would be good. I think Rupture-based champions will be good unless some champions are immune to it, but. Look, there's lots of technical elements to this. If I put a bleed immune champion, well, that the person's going to just like field a shock, champion. Oh, shock immune. I've got a champion that is incinerate, shock, bleed immune, and whatnot. Okay, well, I'll just use rupture. So this is all this complexity to kind of like guessing the counter to the counter. So do bear in mind that, by the way, know your dot-based effects and who has what. Easy access to stuff. Dr. Doom, easy access to shock. Well, they throw a shock immune. Well, that's a problem. Better defender, maybe, maybe not. Massacre, incinerate access. Yep. You got Nebula, shock access, really easy. Could be a very decent option. Rintra. Again, that one will be access to Ruptures, I think, with that one. Then you've got Gwenpool, easy access to bleeds. Sauron, I think easy access to bleeds as well. Ruptures for War Machine. I think is that it for what we've got. And then, of course, we've got the other offenders, which are, debuffs with Onslaught. We've then got Kushala. I think, what does she have? Access to Incinerates. Or is it Degens? I'll say it's Incinerate. So many champions to think about. And Omega Sentinel, of course, like easy access to certain damage over time effects. And of course, these are these dot-based offensive champions. So again, it's just down to ease of access. the next question will be, well, are there any others? Of course, there's going to be like other champions that could be used in this. It's not just about this, but these are the ones it's all about building into. You do the dot-based effect with the champion. The dot-based effect means that they get power. If they get power, they are able to throw a special attack. If they throw a special attack, they get power shield, and that means they do a great amount of damage. That is the nodes kind of explained in a nutshell, but of course do bear in mind, if there's certain champions that require more of a thorough build with throwing special attacks, like they don't access a dot-based effect until they throw a special attack, then that could be a problem. I might have left some on the list, and that's kind of like on me that I've left them there, but look, trial and error. I think it's always best to go into stuff, make a complete hash of it, and then kind of like learn your lessons from there. It's not really good for this particular circumstance, but what I'm saying is that here's an example. Like, if you're able to have quick access to, I guess this is a problem, isn't it? So if there's any generic defenders, like, could you get away with using champions that don't do a dot-based effect but are effective attackers? Spider-Ham, for example. Spider-Ham will inadvertently punish champions throwing special attacks, but won't play into the offensive dot-based node. So that's kind of explaining that. The same thing when it comes to like King Groot. King Groot rotates around, you know, a Fury buff, so he's able to do damage. So therefore, does he really need a special attack? The same thing when it comes to Falcon. Falcon is a case of like shutting down certain things, so therefore you might use that. You probably would use, if you're going up against a evade-based champion, the likes of Nick Fury. That's another story for another day. And Hyperion gains power gain. So again, it's going to be down to personal choice as to how you feel about countering. But these are some of the options that are not necessarily, you know, about playing into the meta, but are still strong enough attackers that they don't really need the meta of the nodes. So that gives you a bit of perspective with that. From a perspective of Gladiator Circuit, if you're already going into it from the weeks 1 and 2, then it's relatively the same. I don't think there's any issue, especially because you'll just be, because it's Hurt Locker, just rotate special attacks. It will mean you'll have to play into the dot-based champions or throw heavy attacks, and that's that in a nutshell. When it comes to the final week of final 2 weeks of Gladiator Circuit, I would say champions that are immune or purify could be really good defenders, but at the same time attackers. You know, use poison and incinerate based champions, and just have a look for your roster, what you've got, because it's very specific. But in any case, that has been the video. Go and check out the spreadsheet if you want to read it for yourself. Thank you very much for the support as always. And make sure as well to check out some other content located on screen. And I'll see you all in the next video. I don't know what that will be, but if not, it will be tomorrow when I see you again. Much love and goodbye for now.